I was unskilled, and you trained me.
I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
I was fatherless, and you nurtured me.
I was broken, and you mended me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in His name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
Welcome back to Connect with Jonathan Mark. Last week, my friend Kate Casey and I had an amazing conversation. And if you guys don't know who Kate Casey is, for one, she's one of my closest friends. And two, she hosts a huge podcast called Reality Life with Kate Casey. So last week, we talked about the infamous case, the JonBenét Ramsey. And you've seen her on my feed before, and I'm sure you've seen me on her feed before. Now, this conversation was so good that we both decided to put it on both of our podcast feeds. But I want to give a disclaimer. There will be discussions and we will be speaking of elements of sexual assault. So if you were around children or really anyone in public, I would encourage you to maybe listen to this privately or put headphones on. So I'm going to let Kate, who always in Kate's fashion, explain the case thoroughly. So Kate, take it away.
The murder of JonBenét Ramsey is one of the most discussed unsolved cases of the last century, one that has perplexed police, media, and the public alike. In late December 1996, the media descended on Boulder, Colorado. An investigation went on for months, ultimately leading to a grand jury proceeding. The desire for up-to-the-minute information was insatiable. Who would want to harm an angelic-looking 6-year-old girl? How could this happen to this family and on Christmas? Would anyone be found responsible? Was the killer at large? Because of new advancements in DNA technology and a surge of public interest because of the Netflix docuseries, one in which I have covered on this podcast, it is rekindling hope for breakthroughs in this haunting mystery 28 years later. Here is the background for context. On December 26, 1996, Patsy and John Ramsey awoke to a nightmare. They had woken up early to prepare for a trip when Patsy discovered a ransom note on the stairs demanding $118,000 for their daughter's safe return. Despite the note's warning not to involve police, Patsy immediately called 911, as well as friends and family, in order to aid in the search for a missing JonBenét. Police arrived at 5:55 a.m. They found no signs of forced entry, but strangely did not search the basement, which is where her body would eventually be found. During the first hours, only JonBenét's room was cornered off. This meant that friends and family could roam the rest of the house, potentially destroying evidence. Further, the Boulder Police Department shared evidence they found with the Ramseys, and they delayed conducting their informal interviews with the parents. At 1:00 p.m., 7 hours later, the detectives instructed Mr. Ramsey and a family friend to go around the house to see if anything was amiss. John immediately went to the basement and discovered JonBenét's lifeless body. Rather than alerting officers, he immediately picked up his daughter's body and brought her upstairs, which potentially destroyed evidence by disturbing the crime scene. The autopsy showed JonBenét had died from asphyxiation due to strangulation, in addition to a skull fracture. Her mouth had been covered in duct tape, her wrists and neck were wrapped with a white cord. Her torso had been covered in a white blanket. There was no conclusive evidence of rape. There was no semen found on the body, and her vagina appeared to have been wiped clean, although sexual assault had occurred. The makeshift garrote was made using the length of a cord and part of a paintbrush from the basement. The coroner also found what was believed to be pineapple in JonBenét's stomach. There was a bowl of pineapple in the kitchen. John and Patsy claimed they had not remembered giving JonBenét any pineapple that previous evening. Melody Stanton, who lived diagonally across the street from the Ramseys, awoke abruptly from a deep sleep to the harrowing scream of a child. She did not look at the clock, but estimated the time at somewhere between 12:00 a.m. and 2:00 a.m. She stayed awake and listened for any other noises for 5 to 10 minutes, but heard absolutely nothing after that. No cars, no voices, no footsteps. So she eventually went back to sleep. There was a 911 call. 911 emergency. The other side. Police? What's going on? 755 15th Street. What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what is going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter is gone. A note was left and your daughter is gone? Yes. How old is your daughter? She is 6 years old. She is blonde, 6 years old. How long ago was this? I don't know. I just found a note and my daughter's missing. Does it say who took her? What? Does it say who took her? No, I don't know. It's there. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says SBTC Victory, please. Okay, what's your name? Are you? Patsy Ramsey. I am the mother. Oh my God, please. I'm sending an officer over, okay? Please. Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got up and she's not here. Oh my God, please. Okay, please send somebody. I am, honey. Please take a breath from me, okay? Hurry, hurry, hurry. And the 911 operator asked, Patsy, Patsy, Patsy? Well, according to the Denver Post, an enhanced recording of the 911 call made by Patsy Ramsey the morning she reported her daughter, JonBenét, missing, appears to include Burke Ramsey, her brother's voice in the background. That would contradict earlier statements by John and Patsy Ramsey that their son, then 9 years old, was asleep at the time of the phone call, the source said. In a CNN interview on New Year's Day, 1997, Patsy Ramsey said that after she found a ransom note, she ran upstairs to check if her daughter was sleeping in her brother Burke's room. She said she then found Burke sleeping in his room. It is not clear from prior statements, however, if Burke awoke when she made the call to police to report the ransom note. At the end of Patsy's frantic call, the receiver apparently was left off the hook. With the call still being recorded, voices could be heard in the background. Patsy Ramsey can be heard screaming, and then a voice that police believe may be Burke's begs to help and asks what has been found, the source said. Then a voice identified as John Ramsey is heard saying, "It's none of your business, go back to bed, this doesn't pertain to you," or words to that effect, the source said. Police sent a tape of the 911 call, which was made at 5:52 a.m., December 26, 1996, to a laboratory to be enhanced. The 911 operator, Kimberly Archuleta, claimed the grand jury never spoke to her. I had an investigator come to my house, tell me, "There's a gag order, do not talk about this until we go to court," and I was never talked to again, and I never went to court. Over time, there were two theories that emerged, one of an intruder and one of her family's involvement. Now, as far as the family, the police felt that the ransom note was staged. It was unusually long and written using a pen and paper from the home and demanded almost the exact amount of money that John had received as a bonus earlier that year. Police also felt like the Ramseys were reluctant to cooperate with police. The Ramseys have argued this. They say they feared the police would not conduct a full investigation and target them as easy suspects. All three members of the immediate family were questioned by investigators. They submitted handwriting samples to compare to the ransom note. John and Burke were cleared of any suspicion of writing the note, although much was made that Patsy could not be conclusively cleared by her handwriting sample. This analysis was not further supported by any other evidence. John and Patsy Ramsey spent years under the harsh limelight of the public and the media. In 1999, a Colorado grand jury voted to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment and obstruction of a murder investigation. However, the prosecutor felt that the evidence did not meet the beyond a reasonable doubt standard and declined to prosecute. They were never officially named as suspects in the murder. Patsy died of cancer in 2006. The intruder theory. A boot print was found next to JonBenét's body, which did not belong to anyone in the family. There was also a broken window in the basement, which was believed to be the most likely point of entry for an intruder. There was DNA from drops of blood from an unknown male found on her underwear. And since the floors in the Ramseys' home had carpet, was it plausible for an intruder to have carried JonBenét downstairs without waking the family? The DNA profiles developed from the sample found in her underwear and the touch DNA later developed from her long johns was entered into CODIS, the National DNA Database, in 2003, but no matches have been identified. One of the most famous suspects was John Carr. He was arrested in 2006 when he confessed to killing JonBenét by accident after he had drugged and sexually assaulted her. However, he was eventually dismissed as a suspect after it was revealed that no drugs had been found in JonBenét's system. Police could not confirm he was in Boulder at the time, and his DNA did not match the profile generated from the samples found. The Boulder Police Department has said, since JonBenét's murder, detectives have followed up on every lead that has come into the department, to include more than 21,000 tips, letters, and emails, and traveling to 19 states to interview or speak with more than 1,000 individuals in connection to the crime. This case has been under constant review with federal, state, and local partners, as well as in consultation with DNA experts from around the country. John and Patsy Ramsey were a social couple who regularly entertained at their home. The couple lived comfortably in a wealthy suburb of Denver. John was a former president of Access Technologies, which had been recently sold to Lockheed Martin. Patsy was a stay-at-home mom and former Miss West Virginia. Could it have been someone that they knew? And JonBenét was active in childhood beauty pageants. Had someone targeted her? As you can see, there are just as many questions today as there were in 1996, and perhaps we will never get clear answers. In November, Academy Award-nominated director Joe Berlinger re-examined the infamous cold case in a 3-part docuseries, Cold Case, Who Killed JonBenét Ramsey? And you can listen to my interview with Joe in that episode. The series scrutinizes the missteps of law enforcement and the media, and there have been countless other news and true crime shows that have debated the years of unanswered questions and theories. JonBenét's father, John Ramsey, believes that there were several missteps of law enforcement and the media. Technology has advanced so far, he says, for this to be really evaluated correctly, it needs to go to an outside lab. Boulder police have sought out and work regularly with multiple stakeholders across the country to include the FBI, the Boulder County District Attorney's Office, Colorado's Department of Public Safety, Colorado's Bureau of Investigation, and several outside forensic labs. And that collaboration continues to this day. The following are opinions. Jonathan, this case has perplexed people for decades. This is probably one of the most famous unsolved cases, I think, of the last 100 years. And it's the unsolved murder of JonBenét Ramsey. She is most known for the pictures of herself when she was in pageantry. She was known as this child beauty queen who, at the age of 6, was killed at her family's home in Boulder, Colorado, and on the night of December 25th, 1996. Like I said, this is a case, I think most people have an opinion of what may have happened, and I'm wondering what you make of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy case. You know, I have to be honest, like so many people reached out about this. I think from the docuseries that came out, it just kind of, like you said, like re-sparked even more interest, I would say, in it, or just more like people are starting to become like internet like sleuths, right? Like they're really like really like picking like little things out in the docuseries and then, you know, going down like a rabbit hole and stuff. And I've been getting, like I said, so many messages from people being like, you need to cover this, or you just need to at least say something about it. And yeah, it's been, in my opinion, one of the cases that every time I go on someone's show or do something, JonBenét is literally always brought up.
I also think that sometimes it's good to go back and look at a case through a different lens.
Yeah.
I mean, technology develops. But also for the people that worked on that case in the late 90s and 2000s, sometimes I think that you're so close to a case that, and you get stuck in your own opinion, that it's difficult to listen to an outsider's opinion. But I do think that with time, sometimes through a different lens, you can see puzzle pieces that may not have appeared before.
Oh, definitely. I really think technology is like the biggest factor in this, where, like since it advanced so much and so much time has passed. And like you said, there's been people probably that are so close to it that were detectives on it or whatever that still can't give it up. Like it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to close a case when you're 2 inches away from the finish line.
Right.
And I also think like an added piece, which I've learned just from working on cases myself, but just like in general, it's when the media gets involved, it makes it 10 times harder. It just makes things 10 times harder to accomplish a case. Police are not sharing literally everything. They can't. The investigation would be screwed right off the jump if they're telling the public every bit and detail of things. So I do think timing is everything, and this is the right time. I do feel like the year of 2024 going into 2025, and I could be wrong, is the year of like exposing of like everything. Just like people are like, they just want the truth. They want the truth. They don't want to be danced in a circle anymore. They just want the truth. So I hope I can do my part.
The first question I have is, do you think that there was an intruder the evening of December 25th, 1996?
So it's interesting because when I'm tapping in, it's JonBenét is not even near her mom at all, which is interesting to me, which goes to show, and what I would suspect, no, I don't think there was an actual true intruder. I do think that there was company at the house prior. So that's why, because what is being shown is immediate household, right? So that means just the immediate family. And then, but what they are showing to me is hours before or whatever, there were people probably for, it could be for various different things, dinner, this, whatever. But when it came down to the core of when I see the incident happening, it's the core family. There's no outside intruders, at least from what I can see.
Okay. The evening that she came home from the party, was she asleep when she came home from the party? In other words, was she in the car and taken as a child that was asleep into the home, or was she up when they got home from the party? Could you see that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's do you know like when people, I mean, you have kids, so you obviously do know this. This is like even a stupid thing, but it's like they're sleeping, then they wake up and they're half asleep, half awake. It's like you have to tell them to brush their teeth, to like change in their pajamas, but they're like awake, but like half asleep. But then sometimes they get a burst of energy. It's like really weird how that like switch goes. That's kind of what I see. It was like a very like sleeping to wake up to energy. Because what she keeps showing to me is, and this is about the passing, it's like a simple mistake turned to a larger situation. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what she's saying. So
the mother, Patsy, when she spoke with police the next morning, she was still wearing the clothes that she had worn the night before. She said that she had woken up and put the same clothes on. Do you see her going to sleep at all that night?
Not even a little bit, no.
No. And when her body was found, it was in the basement. In one of the rooms in the basement, there were several little small rooms in the basement.
Yeah.
The incident that happened, did it happen in the basement or did it happen somewhere else and she was moved?
It looks like, if I'm being honest with you, she was moved, because it looks like it happened on a main level. It's kind of like if someone's chasing you and playing you, like, and then you wanted to make it look like someone was breaking and entering in a home. And if you have a basement egress window, like that's a good spot to look like someone was breaking in to go from the basement up, if they have a basement.
When her body was found, there were markings on her. There was a member of law enforcement or attorney that someone had suggested that it was maybe a taser gun. Do you think she was tased?
No.
Okay.
No, from what I see, and she keeps showing this to me, it's like forgiving someone close to her, like a mistake is a mistake.
Okay. Now, do you get a sense in this family that there were secrets that predated this incident?
Yeah. Yeah, this family seems like very, from what I can see, the word I want to use is calculated and private, right? So it's like everything has an exit plan. Everything has a plan B. Like like how I'm sure you with your kids and even with my family, it's like you kind of go with the flow, obviously, because like you can't really it seems like appearance perception was like very important to this family. Like everything starting from the mom, the dad, JonBenét, and the brother, like appearance was very important. Like aside from the pageant stuff, like just like in general. So like a perfect family, a perfect this. And it seems like they weren't so perfect prior to this.
Do you see the family asleep at all that evening, or were some members asleep for a short period of time, or were people up the entire night?
No, everyone was pretty awake. There seems to be one person that was asleep.
When her body was moved, do you think things were done to her to make it look like someone else had been inappropriate with her?
Yeah, so it does look like she was moved and things were staged. And it does look like, people did things to make it look like it was more than a breaking and entering into a home.
The ransom note was quite long. It did mention a specific sum, which was the bonus that the father had received.
Yeah.
Do you think the person who wrote that letter is somebody who lived outside that home?
Doesn't really look like that to me. Because it seems like there's things in there that like typically would stay inside a home, I guess, or like within like a family, or stay within like the four walls of someone's home. And it appears to me that this person had a little too much information. So no, it looks like it was in that home.
It has been suggested that perhaps somebody had broken into the house and it had been laying in wait for hours while they were at a Christmas party the previous evening. Do you see someone laying in wait in that house?
No. It also is just so I can explain a little bit further, just so it doesn't seem like I'm just saying no or yes. It does look like the way that the glass or how it was broken into was like too clean, if that makes sense. Like it, and it also seems like there wasn't any, because they keep slapping my feet, like shoe marks. There wasn't too much of like identifying, like, so like if someone's breaking in and they're stepping on glass or whatever it is, and they're walking from the outside and coming in, you would have some sort of like grass or something on the floor or any type of outside. It doesn't look like that. Like too much to me. It does look like things were, I guess from my perspective, like staged a little bit.
Yeah. In death, is she surprised at the massive interest in this case?
Very. Like very. And again, I think the interesting part, just so people can understand, when I do readings, family will always come in together. They just will. That's this, they come in as like family tree for me. So I can tell the if it's a mother, father, brother, sister, whoever. And if there's more than one family member that has passed, unfortunately, they stack in a family tree. So it'd be like grandmother, mother on the mom's side. So I'll know it's the same people. They're not near each other at all. Like a mother, daughter are not near each other at all. And it's because the daughter doesn't want, and it's not that she has come to terms with things, but I think she's trying to show to me that there's something off there.
Does the mom's energy come to you at all?
It's interesting, not strong. Like not as strong as the little girl.
And what would you perceive that as? Shame?
I perceive that as like the daughter is like trying to tell the story
herself.
Her own. Yeah, okay. It's like tell her story her own way, not have, I think she's a very, I commend her in the way that she is even allowing her to even pop through. So like that's pretty huge in the scheme of things.
Do you see this as a case that will ever have
answers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You do?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Because there is DNA that was found in the underwear, a small amount of DNA. Do you think that there will be answers in connection to that?
Like as far as like if it was a family member or an outside person?
Yeah.
Because it does seem like there will be answers. Yeah.
Okay.
There will be something into connection with that, plus other things like food and other things.
When they did the autopsy, they found pineapple in her stomach, but there was not pineapple served at the party the evening before, and it would have had enough time to
digest.
So it appears that she must have had pineapple that evening.
Someone else had it too, because she's saying there's two.
Okay.
She's just saying to me that there's two people with the same food, right? And she's saying that, listen, like, I think if someone goes to a party or speaks to someone and someone hugs someone or does something, someone's hair could land on, like DNA is easily transferred numerous different ways. I just think what's going to come up is the main thing is food, is what she's saying. That's going to separate from it being really like a random outside person versus someone who is like actually in the home, because she keeps saying to me that the DNA of a third party, like an outside person, it doesn't add up. Like the things just don't add up in that sense. But she's saying the like simple things like food, time, and everything add up. But she's just happy. And that's why I made this reference to you before. The year of 2024 and 2025 is the year of not dancing around in circles so much anymore. Like, people are going to get answers to things. I mean, like the UFO stuff, I'm using that as an example. Like just things like that where there'll be an answer soon. There's too much attention on it at this point also.
Yeah. Does she want us to know the answer to who killed her?
You know what's funny is the answer is yes, because she wants it to be laid to rest, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not saying that she doesn't appreciate, I mean, I can't imagine that she would be like, I don't want people talking about it. Like, she wants answers out there because it is spoken about so much. It's like giving people closure, essentially.
Yeah.
Kate, another amazing conversation. And guys, this will not be the last time you see Kate. I just want to thank her always for taking these really intense discussions, conversations with me, and really putting a lot of thought behind it and a lot of love behind it as well. So guys, please go listen to her podcast, Reality Life with Kate Casey. Go to her socials, follow her on Instagram, TikTok, everything. And please do not forget, if you want to be a listener reading or a listener question, all you have to do is rate and review my show and send a screenshot and DM it to my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium, or send it to my email, connectjonathanmark@gmail.com. I will see you guys next week.